When Detective Morales asked Emily gently, privately, if Mark had ever hurt her, then she shook her head. "He gets angry," she said carefully, "but he doesn't mean it." That answer stayed with Morales. As the investigation deepened, the random act theory began to crack. Nothing was stolen. No footprints besides Mark's and Emily's were found. And the railing bolts? Recently loosened. Yes, but by someone who knew exactly where to apply pressure. A nurse from the clinic came forward. She told Detective Morales that Emily had confided in her weeks before the incident. Not with details, but with fear. "She asked me once what resources were available for situations at home," the nurse said. "She told me not to tell anyone." Morales dug deeper into Emily's personal life. Financial records showed Mark's business was failing. Loans, missed payments, and something else. Emily had quietly opened a separate bank account months earlier. She had been saving, planning. When confronted with this, Mark's composure cracked for the first time. "She was going to leave me," he snapped, "after everything I've done." Still, there was no direct evidence tying him to the fall. The unexpected break came from Emily herself. During a follow-up interview weeks later, when her body was healing but her eyes were clearer, Emily asked to speak alone with Detective Morales. Her voice trembled not with fear this time, but resolve. "I didn't fall," she said. The room went still. She explained that the abuse hadn't started with fists. It began with control, isolation, words that chipped away at her confidence. When Mark realized she was planning to leave, his anger escalated. The night of the incident, they argued on the porch. He grabbed her arm. She pulled away. The railing gave way. "But that's not why I stayed quiet," Emily said, tears slipping down her cheeks. "I stayed quiet because I thought it was my fault." Morales listened, heart heavy, knowing how many stories ended right there with no justice, just survival. But Emily had one more truth. As she lay at the bottom of the steps, barely conscious, she heard someone else. Not Mark. It was Caleb, Mark's younger brother. Caleb had been staying in the garage apartment after losing his job. He'd seen the argument. He'd seen Mark push her, and instead of helping, he'd panicked. He tampered with the railing afterward, trying to make it look like an accident. The investigation shifted overnight. Caleb confessed. Mark was arrested for assault. The town was stunned not just by the arrests, but by the realization that the marriage they admired had been built on silence and fear. In the months that followed, Willow Creek changed in quiet ways. The clinic added information about domestic abuse resources to its waiting room. The sheriff's office started training sessions. Conversations people had avoided were finally spoken aloud. Emily moved into a small rental on the edge of